Welcome back, everybody. Rob from Crown of Thorns with a brand new video for you. Now, I had intended to also do some videos in front of the whiteboard. I have not had a chance to do that yet, but I'm going to be doing that here very shortly so that we'll have some whiteboard videos going up in the very near future. Now, I did post a video yesterday. Today is August 10th, Saturday, so it was yesterday, Friday the 9th. I posted a video to YouTube. It was my interview with Liz Marie. We discussed a whole bunch of different topics. And I posted it yesterday, and within an hour, YouTube had already taken it down and given me a strike on my channel. So I have to be careful, really careful about the things I say and the things that I talk about when I upload to YouTube. It's insane. It's insane. We're being silenced. We're being told that we can't tell the truth. We're being told that we can't say anything outside of their narrative. So it is what it is. So I uploaded that video instead to a brand new channel that I started on Rumble. And it's Crown of Thorns KJV. And you can find that on Rumble. I've been sharing the link on my Facebook page and on my Crown of Thorns KJV forum Facebook page, or if you just click on the link to the video that I posted, it will take you to that channel as well. So I'd ask that you go to that Rumble channel, check out that video. It's doing really well so far, but also give my channel there a follow, and continue to follow me here on YouTube as well. Like I said, I just have to be mindful of what I'm saying and certain words that I use and that kind of thing. It's sad, but it's just the way that it is. So today, we're going to talk about Titus chapter 2. Now, I've read the Bible many times. I've read the books of Paul many more times. And it's amazing. Sometimes the Holy Spirit will grab a hold of you and make you notice or take a greater interest in certain parts of the Bible. And I've read Titus many times, including chapter 2. And I always thought it was good, but it never really grabbed me like it has over these past 3 or 4 weeks. And I've been meaning to do this video for a while now, And I'm just now getting around to it, because in the last 3 or 4 weeks, it's really been something that's been sitting with me. It's just sat heavy on my heart. So I'm going to do a video today about Titus chapter 2, and then I think after this I'm going to film one about 1 Timothy. No, is it 1 or 2 Timothy? I forget already. 2 Timothy chapter 4. Excuse me, that's another good one. Excuse me. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and jump into this. It's about 4:15. Like I said, Saturday afternoon. I have to work tonight, so I need to get these 2 videos filmed, get them edited, and then uploaded to YouTube, all before I go to work. So, I'm pushing it a little bit, but that's all right. That's all right. I work best under pressure. And like I said, be looking forward to the videos I have coming, where I'll be in front of the whiteboard. I'm going to do one on the Septuagint, and I'm going to do one on Hanukkah. And they're both kind of spin-offs from the videos I did about the Apocrypha. Alright, so if you haven't seen the videos on the Apocrypha, go check those out. Alright, so here we go. Titus chapter 2. And this is, of course, a book of Paul. So this one applies. It's not just for us. This one is to us. This book is written to us. From Paul, the apostle, to the Gentiles. That's us. Alright? So, starting in verse 1 of chapter 2. But speak thou the things which become sound doctrine. And this goes back to some other videos that I've done as of late. If your pastor, preacher, teacher, whatever else, is not teaching sound doctrine, meaning it doesn't line up with the Bible, more specifically, it doesn't line up with what Paul is saying, then he is teaching doctrines of the devil. And you need to get out of that church. You need to get out of his presence. You need to stop listening to his teachings, his preachings, etc. Those are doctrines of the devil. And just by your being there, I've talked about this before, just by your being in that church, even if you know better, You're setting a bad example for new Christians or people who are potentially going to be new Christians. All right, not only that, but by your being there, you're condoning what he says. So you need to get out of there. But speak thou the things which become sound doctrine. All right. Now, Paul is going to give us some instruction here. And Paul gives us a lot of instruction to help us in our Christian walk. All right. So it does us well to take heed. So, verse 2. That the aged, or aged, I'll say aged. Some say aged. It doesn't matter. That the aged men be sober. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't drink at all. We'll see that here in a minute. But you have to be sober. And I've said this a million times, but that's what this video is about, is going in depth on this chapter. So I'm going to say it again. Drinking is not a sin. Getting drunk is a sin. If you come home and you have yourself, now I don't drink because I can't stop. I have a problem. So I don't drink. This is about as heavy as it gets for me. Pepsi Cola. And you can see it's a rather small can. Yep. But if you come home, if you're a guy or a gal, and you can socially drink and not get drunk, or if you come home from work, you've had a long day, you have a beer or a whatever, wine cooler, whatever. So long as you don't get drunk, it's fine. It's okay. All right? And by the way, I have my air conditioning on. It's super hot here. I can't turn it off. I hope it's not picking up too much here in this handy microphone. I love this microphone that I have. I've shown it to you before. Anyway, so drinking alcohol is not the sin. Getting drunk is. So that's why Paul is saying, hey, be sober. All right? Grave, temperate, sound in faith, in charity, in patience. That last one, I need to work on. Patience. I do not have patience, and I need to work on that. See, this is good for me, too. I'm not just teaching you. This is teaching me, too, as well. All right? But we're to be sober, grave, temperate, sound in faith, okay, in charity, and in patience. All right? That the aged women likewise, that they be in behavior as becometh holiness. All right? They're to present, here's the thing. And I'm not just going to pick on the gals, because guys, there's a whole lot of issues with you too. You're probably, I shouldn't say that. A lot of men, not all, are poor fathers and or absent fathers. They don't mind doing being a man and having sex with a woman, but they don't want to take any responsibility once she gets pregnant or has children. There's so many men out there now that have no idea what chivalry is. None at all. Opening a door for a woman. When you're walking down the street, you always walk to the outside, okay, so that she's on the inside. On and on and on. So I can pick on the guys too. But this part is really important to me. Behavior as becometh holiness. Women, oh my gosh, it used to be that women were classy. They were ladylike. Now those things are almost looked down upon. Like, oh, you know what, if you don't swear and spit and cuss like the men do. Ridiculous. It used to be that women were a little, they were classy. They didn't swear. They didn't cuss. They didn't have, this disposition, this false notion of, I can do anything a man can do. They didn't have all that. They acted like a woman. They weren't afraid to show, display, be proud of their femininity. Now it's like the opposite. Men want to be like women. Women want to be like men. It's horrible. It's horrible. All right. So, behavior as becometh holiness. Be a lady. Act like a lady. Be ladylike. All right? Not false accusers. Not given to much wine. Now, it didn't say that specifically about the aged men, but obviously, if it's okay for a woman to drink a little bit, so long as she doesn't get drunk, then it'd be okay for a man to do it as well. All right? And if we read in other books that Paul has written, when he's giving instructions, like in Timothy, to men and women, for the pastors, deacons, elders, etc., he says in there too, not given too much wine. And he's obviously talking to men. Okay? Teachers of good things. Women are good teachers because they teach from the heart. And not to say that they never use their mind. I don't imply that, because there's a lot of smart women, obviously. And a woman can take what's in her mind, wrap her heart around it, and present it in a way that a man usually cannot. So women are good teachers, only if they're teaching other women and or children. They're not to teach men. Paul talks about that. All right, men are to be your leaders. Men are the head of the family, they're the head of the household, they're the head of the church, they're head of the body of Christ. Men. All right, so, and I've done videos on that, but men, you should be good teachers to other men, to women, and to children. Women, you should be good teachers to other women and to children. All right, that they may teach the young women to be sober. Again, if you're a woman, you don't have, when it says, aged, it doesn't mean like 90. It just means, probably 25 and up, 30 and up, okay? Teaching the younger women, it says, not the girls. So it's not about like, okay, an 18-year-old teaching a 4-year-old, although that would pertain too. But he's talking about women that are in their 20s and 30s or more, but instructing these young women. Like when or a girl becomes 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, they're entering into that womanhood type thing, all right? You need positive role models. Men do as well, boys, so on and so forth. But he says here that they may teach the young women to be sober. Teach them too. Okay, if you want to go with your friends and have a couple of drinks at dinner, okay. But as soon as you start getting buzzed and drunk and all that stuff, now you're falling into sin. Don't do that. All right. That they may teach the young women to be sober, to love their husbands, to love their children. Notice the order. Love your husband, love their children. So many women, and I've talked about this before, reverse that. They turn that around. They love their kids so much, and then husband comes next. Wrong and wrong again. You should never, ever love your kids more than your husband. Now, if you're a single mom and you're dating some fella, yes, your kids come first. Okay? Absolutely. But as soon as you marry that fella, he now is one flesh with you. Your kids are never one flesh with you. They come from you, but they're never described as one flesh with you as a parent. Your spouse is. Okay? So you're to love your husband, ladies, your husband first. He is the top priority other than God. Then the kids. And so many women reverse that, and they have issues that plague them all through their relationships, through their marriages, etc. It's a tremendous amount of disrespect, not only to your husband, but to God himself, because you're defying what God says to do. Women, love your husbands and your children, but in that order. Your husband comes first. The kids come second. All right, to be discreet. Discreet. You know what discreet means? It's almost like modest. Modesty. It doesn't make you more attractive to wear as little clothing as possible. Is that a far out notion for some of you younger gals? Is that a far out notion for some of these feminazis and whatever else? We're to be modest. Now, I don't go way overboard with this. I'm not saying that your dress has to go all the way to your ankles and your shirt button all the way up to the top of your neck. I'm not saying any of that, okay? And I understand too, and this is where I'm a little more flexible. I understand when you go to the beach, you're going to expect to see less clothing because people are trying to tan, and for swimming, just practicality of swimming, all right? But you don't have to walk around Walmart like that. You don't have to go into Burger King like that. You can put something on and cover up, right? I mean, it's just be discreet, be modest, all right? Chaste, keepers at home. Now, I understand that there's a lot of people where both parents work. And I've always said, sometimes you're in that situation. Look, our society, our government has created this environment, this economy, especially the past 4 years, where, prices on everything have skyrocketed. I understand that. I do. But, and listen to my interview on Rumble with Liz Marie. She talks about this, and she says it so perfectly. Make a choice. What is more important? having that additional income so that you can have your Netflix and your Hulu and your Starbucks and etc., 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 or because you're only passing through this life once, as a mom especially, to be able to spend more time with your kids, maybe, mom, it's better to be the keeper at home, be the housewife, homeschool your kids, and your kids will turn out much better for it. Your kids will turn out much better for it. And the upside far outweighs the downside. Most people, I would say 95% of people, if they really wanted to, they could get by on one income. Now, you're probably not going to take your vacation to Florida or Hawaii or to Paris. I get that. But you know what? Someday when the kids are gone, you have those first 18 years to really spend time with your kids. Once they start their own life, they're out of the picture for the most part. Once your kids are gone, now you're going to see this increase in income anyhow, because kids are expensive. Just be honest about it. Now you can start traveling around with your husband, your wife, whatever, because you can have this influx of cash, of spending money. All right? But during those years when your kids are at home, take advantage of that. Why would you want the school to raise your kids? Why would you want some daycare to raise your kids? Moms, you need to stay home. Stay home and raise your kids and homeschool them. Dad will take care of the rest if he's a good man. Now, this is where people, rightfully so sometimes, like I said, guys who skip out, guys who are negligent, guys who don't want to take responsibility, guys who focus so much on money that it takes precedent over their wife and their kids. All right? But for the most part, and ladies, this is up to you. Be better at picking who you're going to marry. Just because, and here's the thing, this is what happens. Boy and girl meet. Boy and girl go down a date. Girl gives it up to boy on first date, and then he leaves town. But she's left with the parting gift of being pregnant and now having to raise a kid by herself. And this creates a cycle, and a cycle, and a cycle, and a cycle. Be better at, one, finding the right guy. Two, you don't have to put out on the first date. In fact, you shouldn't be putting out until after you're married. Yes? And guys, that goes for you too. I'm not just saying this only for gals, but this is the cycle that happens. You don't have to do that. You shouldn't do that. Fornication is a sin. You're not to have sex until after you're married. So get to know somebody first. Date for a long time. And then really get to know the person. And then marry that person, and you'll have a better idea as to what they're really about. You don't have to worry about him or her walking out on you. Typically him. I'll be honest. Find the right man. And where are you looking? Oh, I go to the bar, and man, that guy, he used me and abused me. That guy over there, he never even called me back after that first date. Why are you looking for people at the bar? I'm not saying there aren't good people at the bar. There are. And you can find good people there, but that shouldn't be your number one choice. That should be the go-to. Like, let's see, I want to find a really good Christian man that's going to take care of me and my kids. I know the bar. No, that should, not to say it can't happen, but that shouldn't be the first place you look. Church? I don't know. Even if you went to a Christian dating site, you'd have better luck. Maybe. Just be careful. Be careful. I'm just saying, it's a crazy world out there. I get it. You have to be careful, but find the right person and date them for a long time, and don't give it up until you're married. Okay? Make him wait. If he really loves you, if he really cares about you, if he really wants to spend his life with you, he won't care that he has to wait 6 months, a year, 2 years before you guys get married. If he leaves you before that because of that, then he was with you for the wrong reason. Use this once in a while, ladies, instead of here. The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? Jeremiah 17:9. Don't think with your heart. All right, anyway, run off on a tangent already. That's all right, though. All right, keepers at home. Be a keeper at home. You find the right man, he'll have a good job, he'll take care of you, he'll make the sacrifices. He should. Now, I understand that there's always exceptions. Even if you've been married to someone for a long time, all of a sudden they go screwy. I know certain situations right now where he has gone screwy and abandoned his family. Horrible. Horrible. And they've known each other for a long time. They've known each other for 24 years, been married for 16, I think, if I'm getting this right. Numbers elude me sometimes. It doesn't matter. They've known each other a long time. And it was a long time between getting to know each other and then when they got married, started putting a family together, etc. And he still flips out. Now, that's through no fault of her own. She put in the time. They put in the time. They put in the, they're courting each other for a long time. And it can still happen. So I understand that. But more times than not, you take the time to get to know someone, 6 months, a year, 2 years. Then you really know who they are. You marry them and they're committed. That guy's going to stay. He's going to raise his family. He's going to provide for his wife and for his kids. And it's just better all the way around. Biblically speaking, economically speaking, spiritually, and just on a social level. Okay? So pick the right guy. Pick the right guy. He'll provide. He's the provider. He should be the provider. He'll bring in the money. Mom, woman, wife, stay home, raise your kids, and homeschool them so the government isn't raising your kids, so that daycare isn't raising your kids and indoctrinating them with all this progressive garbage that's out there. And you know what I'm talking about. I can't say it here. All right? But you know what I mean. All right? Look at this. Fly away. It happens. Oh, well. All right. Keepers at home. Good. Well, good is good. Here's the one. Oh, this is going to drive the feminazis crazy. It's going to drive them crazy. Obedient to their own husbands. See, it used to be marriage vows where, Bill, do you take Deborah to having to hold this, and this, and that? Yeah. All right, Deborah, do you take Bill? Do you promise to honor and obey? And then they start taking obey out because the feminazis were blowing their stacks. And that mindset creeped into all the younger generation. See, the aged women failed in that area. All right? Obedient to their husbands. Now, I'm not saying that you're supposed to serve him, put my slippers on my feet. Not that kind of stuff. Although, technically speaking, if that's what he says, you should. But he shouldn't do that kind of stuff. Obedient means this. Wife, I would prefer that you not go to the store today because the roads are slippery, or I just don't think it's a good idea. I don't think we should spend the money. Whatever reason he gives, so long as it's sound, you need to obey. That means what obedient means. That's what obedient means. You are to obey your husband. Unless, of course, he asks you to do something illegal or immoral, something that goes against God's word. Obviously, then you don't obey. Just like kids, it says, kids, obey your parents. Kids, you should obey your parents, unless they ask you to do something illegal or immoral. Then you don't, that rule doesn't apply. All right? So women, wives, you are to obey your husband. Now, if you've truly vested and vetted this man, and you know that he's a godly man, and that he's a good provider, and he's not El Loco, you should have no problem. It says women are to live for their husbands. Men are to die for their wives. So if your husband loves you like Christ loved the church, you should have zero problem with obeying him. Zero. Now, men, that doesn't mean you abuse that. Don't abuse that. That's a tremendous amount of responsibility, and it's an honor. Care for that, and care for your wife. Look out for her. Have her best interests in mind, but don't abuse that. All right. So anyway, women, wives, be discreet, chaste, keepers at home, good, obedient to their own husbands, that the word of God be not blasphemed. See, if you're a wife and you're unruly, you're not obeying your husband, you're not recognizing him as the head of the household, you're blaspheming God. You can deal with that however you want to. I'd rather not do that. I don't want to blaspheme God or his word. All right? All right, verse 6. Young men likewise exhort to be sober-minded. So it means not only yourself, but exhort, teach others, the other men too. Be sober-minded. Don't be getting drunk. Don't do horrible things. Don't take advantage of women. Don't see how many times you can score and then, put little notches on your bed. You're an idiot. Stupid. It doesn't make you a man. That makes you a little boy. Shame on you. Women are the weaker sex, the weaker vessel. Don't take advantage of that. Instead, be the man you're supposed to be and protect. Protect. All right? Don't take advantage. Verse 7, in all things showing thyself a pattern of good works. We should do good works. It has nothing to do with our salvation, but we should still do good works. All right? In doctrine showing uncorruptness, gravity, sincerity. In doctrine. Your preacher. Let's go back to your preacher, your teacher, your pastor, whatever else. Are the things they say, does it show uncorruptness? Well, if they're teaching something other than what Paul is telling us, then that's corrupt. In fact, Paul says that it's that person is accursed. Accursed. So, again, do not lend your support. Do not lend your loyalty to a man or a fake woman pastor. There's no such thing as a woman pastor, but I know some churches have them. But if that pastor, preacher, teacher is telling you something other than what the books of Paul say, he's corrupt. And you're not supposed to even be a part of that. You're not even supposed to associate with that. It says it right here. All right? Gravity, sincerity. There you go, sincerity. I know, and I'm trying not to pick on... I am trying to pick on people, just be honest. I like to pick on people when they're wrong. Not for a ha-ha, not to be mean, but to point out that they're wrong. We're supposed to do that. And, there are certain churches where they pretend to be so sincere, but then you ask them for help, and they won't. Or they take advantage of you. Or they're only really there for you so long as they're getting some money out of it. A lot of churches like that. Your Pentecostals, your Charismatics, the Assembly of God, your non-denominational. That's all they're in it for, is the money. They don't care about you or they don't care. They're teaching a false doctrine. Not only that, but when you really need them, they don't want to lift a finger to help you. They may throw a few dollars at you once in a while. Why would you go there? That's just me. Anyway. Verse 8, sound speech that cannot be condemned, that he that is of the contrary part may be ashamed, having no evil thing to say of you. So, if you have sound speech that cannot be condemned, then if somebody else is saying some contrary thing, something that's inaccurate, something that's wrong, they can't turn around and say, yeah, but you've said it before too. See, we should be careful about what we say and how we say it. I need to work on that, I'm being honest. But we should be careful about what we say and how we say it, because otherwise, when we do try to point it out for someone else, they can turn around and say, yeah, but what about you? Guilty. And I have to work on that. But the point is this too. If your pastor, preacher, teacher, whatever else, doesn't have this sound speech that cannot be condemned, then what, again, are you doing there? Because it says that he that is of the contrary part may be ashamed, having no evil thing to say of you. Do you want people to have evil things to say of you and they're accurate? No, I would think no. I don't want that of me. So if we're going to put ourselves in this position of, hey, I'm not going to say things that are untrue. I'm not going to say things that are hurtful just for the sake of being hurtful. I'm not going to teach people the wrong stuff, especially when it comes to their salvation and God's word. Then why would you continue to go to a church, a pastor, a preacher that's doing just that? You shouldn't. All right. Verse 9. Exhort servants to be obedient unto their own masters and to please them well in all things, not answering again. Now, the libs, I almost said the word, I can't say it. Those over here on the left, now to you it's probably your right. You're facing the other way. Doesn't matter. There is a whole progressive side that will jump all over this and try to say, oh, look, the Bible condones slavery. The Bible condones slavery. Slavery has always existed. And every race has been enslaved. Every country has had slavery. Slavery has existed under every flag. Okay? The Bible does talk about slavery. Now, it doesn't mean that the Bible is condoning it, but the Bible accepts man's sin. It doesn't accept it like, oh, it's okay, but recognizes, that's a better word. The Bible recognizes man's fallen state. And therefore, if men are going to have slaves, all right, let's put some rules in place then. And it's usually to protect the slave from being beaten or abused or whatever else. But conversely then, look, if you wicked people are going to have slaves, then slaves, do your very best. Do your very best to please the master, so that he has no reason, again, go to this, the verse right before it, to turn things around and say, but you're a vile, wicked slave. Therefore you deserve every lashing that I've given you. And you shouldn't do that. And either way, and slavery doesn't exist anymore in most places, thankfully, because I don't agree with slavery. I don't think one person should own another person. That's just stupid, all right? The Bible accommodates for it because it recognizes the vile wickedness of men, okay? And also, it says servants. And here's the distinction. There's a difference between a servant and a slave. A lot of times, people would sell themselves into servitude. In fact, even in the United States, when it first was getting off the ground, in its early years, they were called indentured servants, where a person would give up 7 years. They say, okay, I'm going to be your servant for 7 years. That way there at the end of it, I don't owe anything, and you have to pay me this big lump sum. So it wasn't even like slavery. You got something out of it. You got something in return, but you dedicated 7 years of your life to indentured servitude. Kind of like joining the military. So there you go. But this is what it is too. So about servants, a lot of times people would become a servant because they owe too much money to the bank or to another person, whatever else. So they'd be like, all right, look, I owe you more money than I'll probably ever be able to pay back, so I'll give you 7 years of my life, and go and watch my videos on Shemitah cycles. I go into that a whole lot more. You would have the year of release, and you'd have the Jubilee every 50 years. The release, where you forgive the debts, you let go of the servants, etc. The Bible makes accommodations for all of that. But it has to recognize as well the vile wickedness of humankind, and then try to put some sort of parameters in there. Because God did come down in the flesh and told us, don't do these things, but do these things. And guess what? Even with God standing right there in front of us, we still do those vile, wicked things. So people say, oh, well, why didn't God just come down here and tell us not to? Or why doesn't it just say in the Bible not to do this? It does, first of all. And secondly, God did come down here and try to correct us. And we still continue to do vile, wicked things. So the best case scenario is, okay, you guys are doing vile, wicked things. I'm going to at least try to put some parameters on it. I'm at least going to try to put some protections in place. Because God is not going to impose upon our free will, even when we do vile, wicked things. All right, 10, not purloining, but showing all good fidelity, that they may adorn the doctrine of God, our Savior, in all things. God, our Savior. I like that. And it's going to tie in with verse 13, so I'm going to wait. All right. Verse 11, for the grace of God that bringeth salvation hath appeared to all men. That was Jesus. Yes? Teaching us that, denying ungodliness and worldly lust, we should live soberly, righteously, and godly in this present world. And we should. And again, none of it has to do with our salvation. Salvation has appeared to all men through Christ, through his finished work, not through our works. Don't confuse that. All right, to live soberly, righteously, and godly in this present world. We should try to do that right here and now. Okay? Here it is, verse 13. Looking for that blessed hope and the glorious appearing of our great God and our Savior, Jesus Christ. No comma. For a reason. Many times the skeptics say, well, Jesus never claimed to be God. Wrong. And I've done videos on this, but Jesus many times demonstrated when he was he was in this argument with the Pharisees, and it's right after the woman caught in adultery. And he's having this discussion, chapter 8, John chapter 8, with the Pharisees, back and forth. And they say something about, what do you mean you knew Abraham? You know, you're not even 50 years old. How could you have known Abraham? He lived thousands of years ago. And Jesus says, before Abraham was, I am. I am. And the Pharisees instantly knew what he was saying because they took up stones. They were going to stone him. Now, if that phrase that Jesus said meant nothing, if that wasn't a proclamation of being God, then why would they pick up stones? You go back to Exodus. Is it Exodus? Yeah, Exodus. When the burning bush, God is speaking to Moses. And Moses says, hey, who should I tell them sent me? What name should I give? And God said, tell them, I am that I am. That I am. That's the name of God. And Jesus claimed that. Jesus allowed people to worship him. A good Jew would not do that. Paul never allowed anyone to worship him. Peter never allowed anyone to worship him. All right? Jeremiah, Isaiah, none of them would ever even think of allowing. Even the angels say, oh, don't worship me. Worship only God. Jesus allowed people to worship him. Why? Because he is God. And here it is again, Titus 2:13, looking for that blessed hope and the glorious appearing of the great God and our Savior, Jesus Christ. It's saying right there that Jesus Christ is our Savior and he's our great God. And there's other places too. We'll get to that at another time. All right? Verse 14. Who gave himself for us that he might redeem us from all iniquity and purify unto himself a peculiar people, zealous of good works. Now, who gave himself for us that he might redeem us from all iniquity. That's anyone who trusts on the blood. Okay? He gave himself for us. He died. 1 Corinthians 15, 1-4. The death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus Christ. That finished work on the cross. You trust on that. That's how you get saved. Trusting on the blood. Romans 3:25. That he might redeem us from all iniquity. See, when you trust on Christ and his finished work, I'm absolved of all iniquity. When God looks at me, he sees righteousness. Now, I'm not righteous. I'm going to be the first to admit it. I do some dumb stuff. But the blood has covered me. So when God looks down, he doesn't see this old, vile, wicked, fleshly me. He sees that new man that now lives within me. He sees that new nature. He sees the blood of Christ covering me, the cloak, the righteousness of Christ. That's what he sees. That's why even when I sin, yes, there might be some consequences for it, but God doesn't see it in the sense that it has no effect on my salvation. And some people disagree. That's okay. They're wrong. And it's okay for them to be wrong. Well, actually, it's not. They shouldn't be wrong about that because that's what's preventing them from getting saved. Christ died for us. And when you trust on him, on his finished work, it says here, that he might redeem us from all iniquity. He redeems us from all iniquity. Now, he kind of shifts a little bit. It says, to purify unto himself a peculiar people. Who is that? The Jews. Zealous of good works. The Jews are all about trying to do good works. In the Old Testament, it made sense. Your salvation was faith plus works. You had to have faith in God, and you had to do good works. You had to keep the commandments. And if you fouled up, you had to offer a sacrifice. It's faith plus works. All throughout the Bible, faith plus works, until this dispensation that we're in right now, this dispensation of grace under the Apostle Paul. Now it's by faith alone, Ephesians 2:8-9, faith alone, not of works, lest any man should boast. I don't know why people have a hard time wrapping their head around this. We are not the Jews. We are not Israel. Hebrews 1:1 makes it clear that God speaks to different people at different times in different ways. Just look it up. Hebrews 1:1. Look it up. God spoke differently to Adam and Eve than he did to Noah. Adam and Eve were told, hey, don't eat of that tree. Has God told me not to eat of any trees? No. I can go out and eat of any tree I want to. I'm not going to lose my salvation for it. But Adam and Eve, they did lose their salvation in the Old Testament sense once they ate of that tree. Noah was told to build an ark. What if he wouldn't have done it? Well, he would have perished just like everyone else. Do I need to go out and build an ark in my yard? I don't have room for it. First of all, it would take me a long time to build an ark, especially one that big. So do I need to build an ark? No. Do you see? God speaks to different people at different times in different ways. And right now, in this parenthetical age that we live in, this dispensation of grace, we don't have to do works. We're not under that covenant anymore. We are under faith alone. And Robert Breaker nails this point home every single time. And I learned about dispensations through Robert Breaker, and he used those exact examples. You know, how Adam and Eve had to do this, Noah had to do this, this person had to do this. It's different now. And I used to be so turned about in my head too. I had no idea about dispensations, and I couldn't reconcile these apparent contradictions in the Bible. Well, thank God I came across Robert Breaker, who clarified that. And now it's just, it's like my eyes have been opened. All right? So you need to recognize dispensations and understand that we are not under a faith plus works salvation. It's faith alone. faith alone. All right. So, purify unto himself a peculiar people, that's the Jews, zealous of good works. The Jews still think they have to do good works, got to do good works, got to do this, got to do that. There's a lot of Christians that still think that they've got to do good works in order to be saved or maintain their salvation. They're wrong. They're wrong. And I don't take pleasure in that, honestly. I laugh about it only because if I don't, I'll just get more and more angry about it. So I just have to laugh. But I'm not laughing at those people because they're unsaved. I don't take pleasure in that at all. I want people to get saved, and I want for them to understand and to really understand their Bible. And so many people think that they do, and they don't, and that's sad. I was one of them. So that's really, really important. Those two verses, 13 and 14. You just take those two verses and really think about what it's saying. All right, the last verse, verse 15. These things speak and exhort and rebuke with all authority. Let no man despise thee. I think it's a good way to summarize, to just sum it all up. I'm hoping that you're going to get a few different things out of this chapter. This chapter has so much good stuff, and like I said, I can't believe for a long time I didn't recognize just how much good stuff was in here. One, it talks about basically that we should be sober, but that doesn't mean we can't drink. If you want to drink, if you can handle it, not get drunk, you're okay. If you're getting drunk, don't do it. That's wrong. All right? Two, that it's better for women, wives, to be keepers at home and obedient to their husbands. Okay? What else? Sound speech and sound doctrine is emphasized over and over in this chapter. The next thing was, this is probably the most important thing. Recognizing that Jesus is God. Verse 13. Our great God and our Savior, Jesus Christ. All one sentence, all one complete thought, no commas in there, no semicolons, nothing. One complete thought. Our great God and Savior, Jesus Christ. I love it. And then also that he redeemed himself for us, so therefore our salvation is based on faith, on the finished work of Christ, not of works, because on the flip side you have these Jewish people, the peculiar people, who are zealous for good works, which there's nothing wrong with doing good works if you do it for the right reasons, but it has zero to do with your salvation. So we need to clarify that. We need to make that distinction. All right? So that's what I had to say about Titus chapter 2. I'm going to wrap this up because I want to do one more video before I have to go to work tonight. Yeah. So anyway, guys, questions or comments, leave those below. Continue to come here to this YouTube channel. This is where 99% of my videos are going to be uploaded. But anything that steps outside, or I guess steps on the toes of YouTube or whatever else, will be over on my Crown of Thorns Rumble channel. All right, I've got one video over there so far. I'm recording again on Tuesday, the 13th, with Liz again, and she's got a plethora of information and knowledge concerning, jabs. Hopefully that flies. That I think you're going to want to hear. That will, of course, be uploaded to the Rumble channel. All right. So anyway, guys, that's it. I'm going to start the next video here in a moment. So you guys take care, and God bless.